Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back to day number 286. Our guest today is Mark Shasta, coming to us from the state of Massachusetts. Mark, welcome.
Thank you very much, Eric. Good to see you, and Happy New Year to you, too.
Yes. Well, what are you going to do for us today, Mark?
Well, today I'm going to be basically dealing with the way light dances around at the beach, how we get direct light on the sand, and then we get reflected light in the shadows. So I'm going to play around with that. I'm going to do a little demonstration of how I handle a New England coastline.
Okay, well, what I want to do is quickly show some of your work, and maybe while you're setting up your camera, I'll just go ahead and show some of your work. It's absolutely stunning, by the way.
Thank you.
And so you can go ahead and set up your camera while I'm showing this. I love the reflections on this this water and the light and the sparkle. That takes a gift, I'm telling you. Just beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. You've got a lot of patience. You've got what feels like a lot of detail in there, but I know once you get on it, it's pretty abstract, but really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. So here's a sand dune, and here's a ocean scene. It looks like our harbor scene.
That's something at Acadia.
Acadia.
Yeah.
And look at that. This is beautiful. All right. So now Mark is back. He's set up and he's ready to go. It looks like your canvas is crooked, but I'm sure it's probably because of the camera.
Here, let's fix that.
There we go. Good.
How's that? Is that a little better?
That's great. Now, I know you're going to have to paint sideways to stay out of the camera, but that's going to be great. What we're going to do, I'm changing things up a little bit this year, and we're going to get right into it. I'll do the prizes and some announcements later, but Mark, let's get started.
Okay, well, we're getting started with this painting that I've put a few marks on the canvas, and I'm going to get started with putting some sand into the scene. And because I'm using a reference that I did, basically it's a plein air painting that I did on Martha's Vineyard a few months back.
Do you have any way to show us that reference?
Yes, it's hang on for a second. This is a gouache painting that I did.
Really?
So I'm using this as my reference. And I'm using all of the colors that I found at the beach that day in plein air. I make my own chips so that I can take the colors back as I found them to my studio and use them to make larger paintings.
So when you're making your chips, are you do you wait till you pre-mix all your colors and then make them, or wait till you're done with your painting? How do you do it?
Well, what I do is I take my chip like this to the beach or wherever I'm painting, and I mix it on site. So I don't have anything pre-mixed, but I'll compare my scene to what I have on my palette, and I'll just mix it until I get the right color. There's a funny story as to how I got into this. One day I was at the beach and I was trying to figure out what is the color of the ocean. This was many years ago. I was just studying the ocean, trying to figure out, is it purple? Is it greenish? What the heck is going on there? And as I was making the sort of kind of trying to figure out the guesswork of it, I came up with the idea that I should just go to Home Depot and get some of those paint chips. You know, the ones that they give you for free.
Yeah.
In the paint section. And I'll just take those to the beach. And I took a few and I realized that none of them were the perfect match. And somehow the light bulb went off in my head. Why don't I just make my own chip? And I've been doing it ever since.
So you just go to the Home Depot and use the backs of the chips?
Well, no, I go to the art store now and I buy that canvas paper. And okay. I cut them into little sheets like this, and I just take them to wherever I go.
So before you go out to before you start painting, are you actually mixing colors and matching to your chips before you start the painting?
Well, today the answer to that question is yes, because I knew that we just don't have a lot of time, and it would be a lot easier for your audience if I didn't, you know, take a lot of time with this. And so I've pre-mixed the colors that are on that chart. So this is a combination, to inform everybody, of basically titanium white with some burnt sienna and a little bit of cad red and a little bit of ochre. It turns out that that was the mix on the beach that day. Again, I'm painting the sun on the sand here. So that's
Now,
the first.
people are going to want to know: are you painting on a board, on acrylic? What are you painting on?
This is a canvas panel. This is a Centurion panel. It's oil primed, and I've got just a little thin sheet of spike oil on it to kind of grease it up a little bit.
Spike oil. Now, I don't hear that too often. Now, how thin is it, and why spike oil?
It's very, very thin, and the reason for that is because I want the paint to move around a little bit so that I can play with the textures. When I get into the detail, I want that paint to really slip around.
So you're not using something like a Gamsol or something on top?
I do sometimes. Today I'm not. Sometimes I'll put a little Gamsol in there. Now what I'm doing here is I'm putting in the bones of the painting, the bones of the design, which are the big shapes are what matter. That's what makes the design. If you go into, ideas about how to make a really great painting, it's really going to be about the large shapes. It's not about the detail. And we know that when we walk into a museum, we've all done it, where you go into a museum room and the walls are covered with paintings, but your eye is always going to go to the painting that has the right balance of things, the right design. And that's before you even know what that is a painting of. So I pay a lot of attention to the general shapes, the big shapes in my painting. Now, what I'm doing here, this is all the shadow. This is where the sun is in shadow. And again, for your audience, I have already figured out this color when I was on site. So I'm using the color that was on my chip. That is a titanium white with some ultramarine blue, a little bit of cerulean, and some some raw umber.
Okay. Now, somebody asked about the light in your studio versus what the chips were seeing in natural light.
Right. Well, I test my chips during daylight, and I match the colors. Like today, I did not mix these colors last night. I mixed them this morning so that I could have daylight, which they were originally mixed in daylight, so I want them to be accurate in daylight. It's easier that way, and it's more accurate. Accuracy matters a lot to me, Eric. I want to get that. I don't want to just get the value. I want to get the color, and I want to get the temperature of the color. So now I've put the general shapes in of where the sand is. This is going to be the grass. And for your audience, yes, I already figured out when I was on site what the color of the grass generally was. It's called local color. It's the general color of that mass of grass that goes across.
Would you do us a favor, Mark, and pull up your, just every once in a while, pull in your reference, because people tune in late and they might not have seen it.
Sure. Hang on. Feel free to ask any questions you want.
Excellent. All right, great. Thank you. I'll ask questions as they come in.
Okay, yeah, please do. I want to make sure that I'm framing this right. Hang on for a second. There, that's better.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean, my wife just came over to me and directed me.
Oh,
It's good to have a director.
where would we be without them?
I don't know. I really don't. So yeah, this combination is, the thing is that I should say this, when I go out to paint, I have been painting all my life. So it is second nature for me to mix a color. I don't really give it a lot of thought. I used to have a notebook where, and I'll show you this too, if you remind me, where I used to keep notes of exactly what color was in the sky, and I would just write it down.
Yeah.
I would make an observation and just kind of figure out what I thought the combination of colors would be, and just write that into the notes of my sketchbook. That was very helpful, but these chips are way better. It's much more fun. I'll show you another page from I call it my recipe book.
All right.
Hang on a second.
This is fun.
This is actually another, a good example where this is actually an oil painting where each of the colors that I used are represented on these little chips. You see that? So I could recreate this painting larger if I want to, without having, even if I sell the painting, because I have the actual colors that I found that day at the beach.
So are you painting it 3 times? You painted a plein air and then you came back into the studio and painted it into your book?
No, I do it when I'm out there.
You do?
I do the plein air painting, and then I take out my book. Usually I do the smaller one first, Eric, and it's like that kind of helps me design the painting. Gives me almost like a little thumbnail oil painting to work from.
Right.
And as you know, we have to work fast because the light changes. So anything that I can do to add, well, I should say subtract from the time that it's going to take me, it's just so incredibly helpful.
I like the effect of that oil because you can see the variation in the strokes.
Yeah, you got to do, and I'll do more of that as we go. This is the ocean color.
It looks like it's the same color as the shadow.
It's extremely close. It's very close, but it's a little bluer, and it's got a little bit more green. It actually has a little green in it. That's one of the things I miss about workshops, and I used to do so many. I will do more, but workshops are the time. You got to see these colors in person. The screen doesn't get the accuracy that you want to convey to a student. But
well, and everybody's screen is different.
Exactly.
And everybody's eyes are a little different anyway.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So anyway, there's going to be I'm going to let there be some light on the water over here. So I'm going to leave that kind of free for the moment. I'm going to put a warmer color in there. And let me see. I'm going to put in some, whoops. I'm going to put in the sky color, and I may have to wipe this off. This looks a little, I wonder if I'm getting some glare. Am I getting some glare from where you can see that, Eric? Or are you?
No, I'm not seeing any glare.
Okay, good. So again, for anyone following along, these are colors that I already figured out when I was out in the field, and I mixed the colors this morning in preparation for this, and got up early to make sure that I was getting them accurate. So
what kind of paints are you using? You're using oils, but
I am using oil paint. Thank you. These are oil paints. Most of the paints I use are Michael Harding. There's a few that I, for textural reasons, I kind of play with. But I love the strong pigments and the texture of his paints. So as I say, there's going to be some light in the sky over here. So I want to leave that
all right
a little bit with less paint on it. I'm going to go across here. I think the sky's looking a little too dark. So I've got to get my, let me wipe off some of that sky.
Okay. Hello, Brazil. You guys, by the way, I should mention, excuse me. I should mention that I didn't mention this, but we give away prizes for people who are putting comments in, and I'll announce. I go ahead and tell you what today's prize is while Mark's wiping that down. Today is going to be a digital subscription to Plein Air Magazine, and an opportunity for you to get the digital version. A lot of people get both, but the digital is essentially 20% more content than the print. And so you could win that today for your comments. Make sure you say where you're from. Sorry to interrupt, Mark.
That's okay. You go right ahead. And if you have any questions while I'm going, I mean, I never really, I'm not really good at rambling because I ramble and I have too much fun rambling. I'll end up singing a song or something. I just
well, you're very entertaining. Whenever you're doing demos at the Plein Air Convention, you're always wearing your tuxedo, which I think is fun.
Yes, I loved wearing my tuxedo. And I can tell you why I wear a tuxedo. People ask me, why do you wear a tuxedo when you paint? Because it's fun. That's my first answer. But there was a time, and in a more serious, I can tell you there's a more serious side to that. When I went off to art school, I was the only kid that I knew that was going to art school. All my friends were off doing quote unquote real college, and there I was going off to the Rhode Island School of Design. And I had an insecurity thing about whether I was really studying anything. I think I'm not the only artist to have that feeling, but I would be teased about not really having real class or real school. And I got a lot of stories from the Rhode Island School of Design, but one of the great things that happened was that really straightened me out was I had a teacher in illustration. I studied under Chris Van Allsburg. And Chris is better known now for his children's books, The Polar Express and Jumanji. But when he walked into a classroom, he was always dressed beautifully. I mean, he came in beautiful clothes. And I thought, this is an artist who's really taking his work seriously. And he also was taking himself seriously in a way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
It wasn't, he wasn't casual about what he was doing. And there was something that he was conveying by dressing like that. So that kind of stayed with me, as it's good to dress up once in a while and remind yourself that you're a professional. Sometimes you need that.
Well, there's a lot to being dressed the way you want to be perceived.
Yeah,
and
that's true too.
My wife always tells my kids that when she was growing up and learning, she said, I would always dress the way the managers dressed because I figured they had the best job. And by dressing that way, I ended up getting those jobs.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. It's true.
Okay, tell us what you're doing now. You're laying in a different shade.
Yeah, this is going to be a sunny spot on the water. And a lot of people ask me, how do you do your glittery water? But I have a lot of techniques, and I'm going to try something today, kind of shorthand. But what I do is I warm up wherever that glare is on the water, I warm it up and I make sure that it's got a little bit of yellow in there. And I'm using Indian yellow, which is my favorite yellow.
Transparent, yeah.
Very transparent. And it's very malleable. Versatile. It's a versatile color. And makes great greens. It's a wonderful pigment. All right, so I got some light on the water over there. I'm going to deal with that some more. But before I do that, I'll put some texture in my painting, and I go to Home Depot and I pick up some of my best texture brushes at Home Depot. These cheap little what do you call them? Chip brushes.
I noticed that you kept a white line between your colors. Now you're going up into it.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't want there to be. I don't mind if the grass gets in front of the water, but I don't want the water to get in front of the grass. So this way I can control the green and push it right up there. I mean, in the course of a painting in about an hour, you know, you can get all the bones in, which I've done. These are the bones of the painting, and I think they're pretty good bones. And now it's all about putting in some of the other shapes that are going to kind of bring you into the scene and bring it to life a little bit.
All right. Well, hello from Brazil, from Norway, from Scotland. People are starting to put where they're from.
Great.
Lots of people watching from all over the US, of course, and Canada.
Now, I've grown up at the beach. So I grew up in New London, Connecticut, and I used to live near the beach, and I would walk there every day. In fact, I loved the beach so much, and I loved the ocean. I was totally inspired by it all. I thought maybe I'd be a marine biologist when I grew up because I was so into the flora and the fauna. Learned all the scientific names of the creatures, but I really studied dunes. I was fascinated with dunes and wrote poems about dunes when I was a kid. And what I'm doing here is I'm putting in footprints. I'm paying attention to the planes going on here. This is a dune where the top of the dune is going to be hit with sun. It's not going to be as bright as the sunlight, but so it's toned down a little bit, but it's still very warm. As the slope turns downward, you're going to get a little bit darker effect, and because the light is not so direct, and any footprints are going to be a little bit more prominent.
Mark, you're such a good teacher.
Oh, thank you very much. I do workshops. Anybody wants to, markshasha.com. Check out, sign up for my newsletter.
Yeah, I'm going to put it on here right now.
Okay.
Okay, it's markshasta.com.
markshasha.com, S-H-A-S-H-A.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I put a T in there, didn't I?
That's okay. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I even do it. I even do it sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Well, everybody knows Mount Shasta. So, and also once upon a time, there was a soda called Shasta, I guess. But
yeah, I remember that.
So now I'm staying with the general flow here. I really want things to be random. And in nature, random is very important. So I use feathers to kind of blend things in a random way.
Well, you must have seen Bob Ross painting with feathers.
I didn't know he painted with feathers.
He didn't, but we did a spoof where he was painting with. I could show it to you.
Well, the thing is, though, I actually really do use feathers. It's for serious, but I use both ends of the feather because it really makes great grass when you scratch it out. Another thing I use is this kitchen brush. So I think this is a scrubber for thermoses or something. I like to beat it up. I like the randomness. I also use sponges. I like to push the paint around at different points along the painting. Let me try to put a little more dark in here.
Outstanding. Hey, you guys, make sure you say where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you.
So now I did not show everybody. I did not show you my palette. I don't know if there's time. We can do that in a minute, but
yeah, we have time.
All right. Well, I'm just going to pick up this thing and I'm going to show it to you, and then I'll put it right back. Okay.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
Hang on. So this is what I'm working off of right here. I have my mixed colors that I'm working with for this particular painting, and then there's a perimeter of other colors, the typical colors, the warms and cools of the spectrum.
Do you put all those out for every time you paint?
No. Well, yes, I do. I kind of do. I don't really have too many routines that I do all the time. I change things up quite a lot. I'm just throwing a little bit of dioxazine purple in here randomly, using my finger to smear it because I just want some darks in there. Remember, my chips are for getting the accuracy of the general color. When we get into the kind of the fine tuning, I like to call it, I will throw in some other colors. I stay cool in the shadows, and I also stay within the values that are in the shadows. I like paintings that have snap, crackle, and pop.
Ah, like Kellogg's.
Well, yeah, what I call snap is the atmospheric perspective. I like a nice atmosphere. And the crackle is what I call the texture, getting the textures into various random bits. It's like a crackle. And the snap is the contrast, not only light and dark, but of color. So we got a purple here that's a nice contrast to the very hot light that's going to be on that water.
Are we having fun yet?
Well, I know I am.
I am.
So here I really love spending time with the water. I love painting the water. When I was in college at RISD, in the summers, I was a lifeguard. And I just, lifeguarding at Ocean Beach Park in New London, Connecticut was pretty quiet. We had a staff of 25 lifeguards, and we were all really good swimmers, but we spent most of the time just on our towers looking out into the water. And, you learn a lot about water if you study it a lot.
So tell us what you're doing here. You're obviously putting some sparkle in. Is that pure white? What is it?
This is a titanium white, and yeah, it's pretty much pure white. I'm mixing it with I left a little bit of paint on the canvas so that I can mix it with the paint that's there already. And I'm doing little vertical strokes here. A lot of the time when people paint the water, they go horizontal, and I find that just doesn't work.
Really?
Not for the sparkles.
Huh.
Because
that would be my instinct, is to do horizontal.
Yeah, I go horizontal with some of the darker lines on the water, but the lighter lines, I like to go a little vertical. I mean, I'm keeping them in a straight line. Let me see if I've got a straight edge. So I'm keeping the sparkles in a straight line, but I'm not going horizontally with the strokes. I'm going vertical.
I see a little Joe McGurl influence there with that straight edge.
Oh God, yes. I've painted with Joe. He's taught me a lot. Sometimes I get nervous about whether I should mention all the artists I've learned from, because
you're going to forget somebody.
Well, not only that, but if I say something and then they find out, oh, Mark, you gave away my secret. Well, I don't think, Joe did a video about how to do a lot of these things. But I also, who's great with water was also Sam Vokey, and a lot of the Boston school painters were great with water. Frank Benson and in the old, and Waugh was a great painter of water. I learned a lot from looking at those great paintings they're just entrancing, really. We talk a lot about the fun of what it is to paint, like the fun of painting, but we don't talk enough about the joy of looking at paintings. It's delightful when you've got a painting underway or you're watching another artist do something that you really admire.
Yeah, I think one of the most fun challenges is to sit in a museum and stare at that painting and try to figure out, how did they start it?
Right.
What kind of an underpainting was there, and then try to figure out the steps.
Oh yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. And there's nothing like going to the museum with somebody who really knows what they're talking about. I had a great day. Michael Harding is full disclosure, is a friend of mine. And so
well, he lives near you, doesn't he?
He does. He lives not far. And I really do love his paints, but he's an awful lot of fun to go to a museum with, because he can look at the paint and tell you, okay, well, this is stack lead white that this guy was using, or this is when cobalt started to get popular. It's really great to know that stuff. And I'm a complete nerd about learning the details. I mean, I can have long conversations with anybody about what are the virtues of phthalo blue versus Prussian blue. And
That kind of sounds like a typical lunch at the plein air convention, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. Well, that's why my wife would be glad to get rid of me for. She doesn't want to sit around and talk about that stuff. Who wants to talk? You got to be with artists who know that. All right, so now I'm going to put a little bit of darkness in the dunes here, in the dune grass. I'm using some green that's mixed with a little bit of purple. I'm really all over the place here, Eric. I mean, if I'm going too fast or whatever, I apologize.
No, you're doing great.
I just I know that there's people probably following along, trying to think, well, why is he doing these things? But
well, you're explaining them well.
I'm trying.
Now, talk about dark and light contrast when you're trying to make light really glow.
Yeah, that's a good question. This has got to be the brightest area of the painting. So everything else has to be somewhat darker. And as it moves away from that, you want to get a little darker still. But the trick, and this is where the art comes in, you don't want to go too dark anywhere. You want to, these are subtleties that you kind of build up as you go along. And you know it when you've put in something that's too dark. This isn't really working yet. It might work in a little while, but I'm going to scratch it out. I'm going to be coming back in and out of this area. So, we'll see what happens, but it's already on my mind to look out for some things. Right now, I'm going to go back in and keep working on this sand. I love painting sand. I love the texture, and that I did say that I was going to deal with bounced light. I mean, if I don't, well, I don't know how to put it in. I don't know how to talk about it yet, so let me think about it. But
you already brought it up.
Yeah, but I want to figure out how to describe what I'm going to do. This area in here has to be lighter once the light starts bouncing back in there, but I'm not ready to put the light in there yet because I want to get all this other texture done.
All right.
Get a little bit more of this going. I mean, if anybody, are there any questions in the comments that I can't see the comments, so.
No, just a lot of positive compliments.
Oh, nice.
The light is starting to pop. Great presentation.
Oh, good. So
what is the benefit of phthalo blue versus Prussian blue?
Yeah. I mean, for the nerds out there, I can't figure out how to use Prussian blue. I don't know what to use it for. It doesn't seem to work in anything that
what it works really well with is if you mix it with something like an Indian red.
Okay.
It makes these beautiful distance and white makes beautiful distant colors for like the hills.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got to try that. I haven't figured out what to do with it. It's kind of like some artists really use Viridian a lot, and I do use Viridian sometimes, but
I think what I'm starting to realize is that you can accomplish about anything with whatever it is you've got. You just you stabilize, you start adding every single color to your palette. You're going to spend more time putting paint out than painting.
Yeah, exactly. You end up mixing a lot. Like, I can't find anything in nature that's really Viridian. So you end up having to mix so much with it. Wow. See, this is just fun. It's like a bird flapping all over my painting.
Well, there would be a seagull flying over, so you probably got that feather out there.
Well, you know what's funny? I've lost so many of these sponges because they're on my, the seagulls love these. They come down and they eat them.
I didn't know that sponges were edible.
Yeah, they are to a seagull. Well, all right. So I feel like I don't know why. I just want to get this. All right. So here's the thing. This slope, which I haven't even put much sun on it yet, but I'm going to get to that next, is full of footprints. And now that spike oil is really helping me because it's getting a little sticky as it dries. And it helps me to All right, I'm going to cast a few shadows here. The light, again, is coming from over here, so it's going to move across the dune, and it's going to be casting shadows. And I don't want all my edges to be hard. I want some of them soft because, and I know I'm talking a little fast here, but with a footprint in the sand, one side is going to be softer and on one side is going to be harder because the hard edge of the footprint is going to be picking up the light, and the other edge is just kind of rolling into it. So you've got a soft edge and a hard edge to most footprints. And so I'm just kind of giving some suggestion of that. I want to soften some edges, that's all. And for those tuning in late, yeah, all these colors that I'm using were found on site, and they're my little treasures. I take them back.
Show your color chips one more time real quickly.
Sure.
And show your study.
So you can see that this melts right in. That color melts right in because this is the color. I call it foliage number 1. I label them on these things. And there's my sand color. And here's my sand in the shadow color. And here's my sea color, which I've actually put a little violet in. That's the artistic license I give myself. I can tweak the colors as I go. There's no rules here. So I kind of mess around with them.
Mark, and show us your study real quickly.
Yes. So here's a study in gouache.
Okay.
And
so what I'm going to recommend, Mark, oh, yes, and there's your study that you did on location again.
Right. So this would be a thumbnail sketch. Usually I do a little oil study before I do a larger painting. I study the colors before I get into doing the plein air piece. I mean, this is plein air. My point is, when I get to the size that's going to be 9 by 12 or 11 by 14, or in this case, this is a 12 by 16. I do the little study first, get the values and get some idea of the color. And again, reflected light. I'll just show you this painting. I've got paintings all over the studio. Here's a painting of Bryce Canyon, but you can see the bounce light is what really makes the canyon come to life. All that bounced light, all that red and orange and yellow. And I'm going to use bounced light in these areas as well. And I'm just, looking for the opportunity, which is coming up real quick. How are we doing on time, Eric?
We're doing great. Mark, I'm going to drop you off here for a second. Why don't you come on camera and say hello to those people who haven't seen you yet? And,
okay.
And I'm just going to make a couple of quick announcements, and then we're going to get back, give you a chance to take a breather.
All right. So be back in a few minutes, right?
Yeah, just a couple of minutes. So
all right, Eric.
We'll be right back. Okay, everybody. This is a fabulous demo, and I just wanted to greet you. Today is day number 286. We started when coronavirus began, and we continue every day at 12 noon and every day at 3 p.m. Every day at 3 p.m. we have artist samples of instruction from the various 500-600 videos that we've created. Today will be Susie Baker, a free art tutorial, Color Magic for Stronger Paintings, from this video, and you'll get a chance to talk to and meet Susie and get her to see how she uses color in this painting. So that'll be today at 3 p.m. We're doing that every day, 7 days a week since coronavirus, 286 days in a row. I'm here 5 days a week now, and bringing on a lot of different people. Tomorrow is going to be a really interesting day. I'd like you to think about if you're a professional artist, or quite frankly, a professional of anything, or if you want to hit your goals. I wanted to set something up for early in the year about goal setting. I talked a little bit about it on New Year's Day and New Year's Eve. But I have Lee Miltier, world famous author, been on major stages with all the top names. And Lee is going to be on with us tomorrow. And you want to be here for that. You'll have a chance to Q&A with her. But she's going to talk about how to manifest things in your life. And you don't want to miss that. It's going to be really terrific. The other thing you don't want to miss is that coming up at 12, coming up at on the 20th, is the deadline for the price increase on Watercolor Live, and you don't want to miss getting registered. There's a 100% money back guarantee for that. So if you decide that it's not for you after the end of the first day, you let us know. We'll refund your money. We're up to well over 1,400 people attending from all over the world. And let me just play this real briefly for you.
Have you ever wanted to learn to paint in watercolor but don't think you have the talent? Most master artists will tell you that painting is a skill anyone can learn. If you follow a process, you too can paint beautiful artwork. You could spend $3,000 or more to attend a live workshop or convention. Or you could learn from the world's finest for a fraction of the cost at Watercolor Live, the world's first virtual online art conference devoted to water media. 3 days of world-class artists demonstrating in portraiture, landscapes, still life, the human figure, cityscapes, color mixing, and more. Get to know other artists and instructors personally through our breakout sessions, and we'll even paint and draw together at the end of each day in the safety of your own home. Make new friends in our breakout sessions. Paint with hundreds of others. Get private access to our exclusive members group to become part of our community, and learn to take your artwork to a higher level. Watercolor Live, 3 full days of watercolor instruction from the world's best. January 28th to 30th. And for people who want to learn painting from scratch, start with our Beginner's Day on January 27th. Soon you'll be painting faces, people, flowers, scenery, objects, and other subjects. You'll see your artwork improve faster as you learn from top artists and instructors from all over the world. Make history as part of the world's first watercolor art conference. Sign up today and join the world as we learn art together from these amazing artists. Joseph Zbukvich, Linda Daly Baker, Jean Peterson, Mario A. Robinson, John Salmonen, Thomas W. Schaller, Suni Warren, Matthew Bird, Andy Evenson, Michael Holter, Pablo Rubin, Daniel Marshall, Lauren McCracken, Angus McEwen, Kim Minikello, Ian Stewart, Brenda Swenson, Keiko Tonabe, Stephen Zhang, Birgit O'Connor, Shuang Li, Antonio Masi, Larry Moore, Glenn Knowles, and many more to come. Why not use this time to learn a new skill so you can amaze your friends and family with your paintings? Watercolor Live, from the publishers of Plein Air Magazine and American Watercolor. Sign up by January 10th and save up to $500 off the retail price.
Well, I said January 20th. I don't know if it's the 20th or the 10th when the price goes up. I guess I need to find out. Anyway, just go ahead and get it done. Now back to Mark Shasta so we can complete this fabulous painting. Okay, Mark, you're back.
Hey, great to be back. Just for those people who are tuning in, I have been applying colors that I actually found in the landscape when I went out to do this painting. But what I'm doing now is I'm roughing up some of the darker areas and kind of in the shadows. I like to blend some of those, some of the edges using the back of my brush. And again, this is a Home Depot 1/2 inch cheap. I think it's a 90-cent brush.
Why'd you spend so much?
Yeah, well, the bigger the brush, the less I spend on it. I spend a lot more money on the sort of the rounds and the small ones because when I want real detail, I don't skimp on that. But it's not about the money; it's about the quality. I love the texture that you get with some of these cheap brushes. So now let's see. I want to put a little bit more sharp. I want to put some sharpness and some nice lines on that sand. So I'm going to take my palette knife, and I'm going to take some of this color of the sand, put it on the palette knife, mix just a little bit of yellow and orange with it, and I'm going to put some highlights where the sand is really just hit with sun, really bright.
Can you explain why you're using a palette knife now at this stage?
Yes, I've got the soft edges already on the canvas, but what I need are some hard edges. And there's nothing like a palette knife to get that hard edge that you want. And I like the chewy, I call it chewy, when you get some nice thick paint on the canvas and you get to play around with it a little bit. It's also called impasto. I like a little impasto on when I'm doing
Well,
something like
the
sand.
light picks it up and it makes it look like it's
Exactly.
more texture, real texture.
Exactly. It looks like the real thing. And anything I can do to make the painting look more convincing and authentic, I will do. So this is all about getting that hard edge in. And I can, you can get it in the wrong place and then just go back in and just take it out. It's kind of a, you put some down, you take some off kind of thing. In the field, when you're painting quickly, you have to, of course, be careful of time because your sun is moving and you might not be able to finesse it just as much as you want to. So you kind of you develop a general sense of these things. Again, I'm starting with a color that I found in nature when I was there. And now what I'm doing in the studio, I'm using that same color, but I'm tweaking it a little bit with a little bit of extra white, just a little touch of orange, because I want to push the light on the sand here. How's that reading on the video, Eric?
Looks great, Mark.
Okay.
Maybe as we get a little closer to the end, you can do a little close-up pan.
Oh, I've got a little surprise for you when we get close to the end. So you just give me that heads up on that.
All right. Well, we got about 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well,
time flies when you're having fun.
I know. It goes way too fast. But I do, let's see, I haven't mentioned yet that I'm going to be having a solo show at the Guild of Boston Artists, where I'm a member. I've been a member for several years.
That's a pretty big honor. They don't just give solo shows to anybody.
No, they don't. So it is an honor, and I'm thrilled about that. And I also have a small solo show coming up at the Maritime Museum in New London, Connecticut in the summer. We don't have an exact date for that yet. And my work, if you're interested, I'm in quite a few galleries around the country. I'm in, if you're anywhere near in Utah, you can go over to the Mission Gallery, and Jane Bellmeyer will show you my scenes of the Southwest.
We love Jane.
She's absolutely wonderful. And another group of people I love are Lisa Skelly and Deborah Hughes, and my work is in their gallery, the Hughes Skelly Gallery in Balboa.
Nice.
If you're in the New England area, you can find my work all over the place. I'm on Newbury Street at the Guild of Boston Artists all the time, something in there all the time. And I also am in the Copley Society. And I'm at the North Shore Art Association and the Rockport Art Association, where I have a lot of work, usually.
You're a busy guy.
Oh, nonstop. I love it. Yeah, I love it. And there's some great painters that I can interact with around in New England. I mean, for years, Eric, I did not leave New England to paint. I painted up here for years. I couldn't imagine a better place to paint. But then I finally, I started going to the plein air conventions. I was at maybe not the very first one, but I think it was the second one, the one in Monterey.
You've been at most of them.
I have, and I love them. I absolutely love them. It's a highlight of my year to go to them.
Well, we're hoping we're going to be able to hold it in May.
Yeah, I know. What a year. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm very positive about the year ahead. I think we're going to be okay. We just have a little rough spot to get through.
You know, what's interesting is when you laid that extra light on, it really started making the light and the shadows pop, the reflective.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love it.
Okay, we're down to the last 5 to 7 minutes now.
All right. Well, if I had more time, and this is what I did this morning for you, Eric, just for you. Ready?
Oh my goodness. Look at that.
So if we had a little more time, this is where I'd go with it. I did this morning. It was about an hour. So I add a little more sparkle back here, get control of the value of this landmass, and a little more red in the grass.
So what's the key? You know, you've got the light blowing out the landmass in the background that is yellow. I'm squinting down. It looks like that's about the same value. It looks like it's getting lighter in value as it gets towards the center of the sun.
Right. Yeah, this is almost pure white in the center. And I'll put a little white down so you can see. That's the pure white. That's just titanium. And you kind of want to have that right in the center anyway. I'm trying to remember who it was who said the light melts things. I think it was Amy Erickson. Just kind of melts its surroundings, which is a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of melts stuff. And I mean, it's just joyful to see so much light in a painting. To me, paintings are about light and that feeling.
Can you give us a close-up of this painting so we can kind of get a feel for it?
Sure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I'll just go right across it. You tell me how I'm doing. Too fast?
You're doing great.
And you can see the rugosa roses. That's a common rose in New England, on New England beaches. But it came from Japan in the 1700s. And now it's on beaches all across New England, the rugosa roses. That's the smell of summer to me.
Beautiful. Very nice. Okay, so maybe a little quick, show us your studio real quickly.
I'd be delighted to do that.
All right.
Just, here we go. I've got a big studio. I have the top floor of a 3-story house. And that's my book over there, The Night of the Moon Jellies. One of my children's books that's available on Amazon. It goes up the bestseller list every summer, which I'm
that's
happy to
nice.
say. That's an old book about I wrote it almost 30 years ago about my grandmother's hot dog stand. I play a lot of music up here. I do a lot of theater. And so I've got my guitars and this is my north light side of the studio. And my wife doesn't want me to, but there she is. Say hi, hon. I know. Oh, my movable wall.
It's hi, hon, I'll kill you later.
Right. Well, this is clearly some evidence of all the plein air events I've been to. I don't know, dozens and dozens. And this wall moves, as my wife said. And it moves because when I do workshops up here, I get about 20 people, and that wall can fold up and be put aside so that I can get all the chairs and all what I have to do.
Outstanding.
So there's one last look at that. And why don't I try, I don't know if I'm too crooked now or what, but.
Yeah. Voila.
Voila, indeed.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Well, this was a really, really exceptional demo. Thank you so much, Mark. We loved it today. Everybody can go to markshasha.com, SHASHA.
Yep. markshasha.com.
markshasha.com. And probably find your children's book there, your galleries there, your artwork, et cetera, right?
Yep.
Workshops. All right, terrific. Well, you've had a great audience. You've had a big audience today and people from all over the world tuning in. I want to thank you for doing it, Mark. And hang on, I'm going to come talk to you when I'm done. And
Okay.
so do you have any final thoughts for everybody?
Well, just keep painting, keep your spirits up. Things are going to get better, and let's look forward to seeing everyone on the road.
Okay. We'll see you soon.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Mark Shasha. Well, today is day number 286. I'm not sure I even introduced myself. My name is Eric Rhoads. I publish Fine Art Connoisseur Plein Air magazine. We do conferences, we do videos, we do a lot of other things. If you want to learn about what we do, you can go to streamlinepublishing.com/everything. That's where you'll find all the newsletters, the magazines, the books, the products, the podcasts, etc. streamlinepublishing.com/everything. If you're new to us, we have a gift for you. Yes, I said a gift. And that is a free video. It's 2 hours in length. It's about $100 value. It's called 97 Amazing Painting Secrets from the World's Top Masters. And it's yours for free if you want to watch a digital version. Or if you want the DVD, just pay the shipping on it, which is, I don't know, $5 or $6, I suppose. And we would love to send that to you. Just go to 97tips.com. And we're going to take it off the market soon. If you've been thinking about doing it, go ahead and get it done. Also, last reminder to sign up for Watercolor Live. It's sign up either before the 10th or the 20th. I'll find out. And we've got about 1,400 people so far signed up. And thank you for that. It's going to be a phenomenal time. People all over the world watching together. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm working on a big surprise, something brand new. I have, don't know if I'll pull it off yet or not, but I was on the phone this morning with those people, and we'll just see if we can pull it off. So hang in there. You'll find out if you come. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur Plein Air magazine and Streamline Art, here every day at 12 noon. You can find us on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and others. Just search Streamline Art or search my name. And if you would mind or would not mind, you might mind, follow me, Eric Rhoads, on Instagram and Facebook, RHOADS with no E. Thank you for watching today. Happy New Year, and keep your spirits high. The reason for doing this is to keep you thinking about positive things, not thinking about all the negative things in the world of 2020 and the beginnings of 21. But we're not going to let it last long. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.